So the body of knowledge is these documents. I'll go through them: API 1169, 1110, Spec Q1, Z49.1, safety in building cutting. There's a lot of question coming from here, so you should be focused on that. Common Ground Alliance best practices, and INGA, interstate gas pipeline, construction safety guidelines, and so these two are very important. And then pressure testing. You can see that 1110 and CSS9, there are two documents that about pressure testing. One is about the pressure testing, whereas actual how you do the job, and the CSS9 is about the safety guidelines, as you can see here. And then API ASME B31.4, 31.8. You don't need to study them because they're already, whatever you need as a pipeline construction inspector is already brought in other documents. So you don't need to study them, but we brought them so you get an idea that we briefly explained them. So you get an idea of where you, all these rules and regulations coming from. And then there are 12 US health and safety that would be the open book part of the exam. But I prefer that you should read this, and you should know where this is coming from. Okay, now let's go and I'll explain how, so you get an idea that what are the publication effectivity sheet and what need to go. So in the first module, as I said, you got basic facts, how to register, what you expect at the exam day, how much it costs, what is the exam window, what is recertification, rescheduling, etc. How you register an account with API. On body of knowledge and exam tests that I just gone through, you can watch the video version also for free. We have explained which areas actually you have to study and what is important and what is not important. Okay, and then we brought exclusively explanatory pictures in our course, that for those people with less experience in they can understand what this all means, lockout, tag out, what this means. So we brought it with pictures. Like if you tag out means do not enter. If you lock out, you also lock it. So you prevent people from entering. So that's the difference between lockout and tag out. And confined in space, you need a permit. Anything that you got difficulty in entering or exiting is called a confined space. It doesn't necessarily mean, so a trench, or when you dig, that's a confined space, or a vessel you go in, that's a confined space. And what are the respirators look like? So we brought some lots of picture here for you. Okay, what is a permit to work look like? You know, so this is a confined space. He's using self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA here, and how the pipes are stored, and how the land surveying done, and how the tree sump and all that need to remove, how the trenching done, and then how the stringing is done. Stringing means they put the pipe along the pipeline. Okay, so if we go back to continuing our. So you should know about INGA, what the definitions, and the Common Ground Alliance. So practically Common Ground Alliance is all the pipeline manufacturers, all the relevant entities or interested parties, they get together and they came to a set of agreement. It's very good, it's free, and then they came to a set of best practices. So, and then you should know about a practical guide for pipeline construction inspector. This, I believe it's free. So it talks about all the areas that you are involved. And then API 1169, we have explained pipeline construction inspections. And then pipeline welding, which is API 1104. And then safety in welding, ANSI Z 49.1, is important safety documents in welding, because in pipeline there is a lot of welding involved. So good number of questions come from Z49.1. Pipeline pressure testing, API 1110, how you do the testing, what you need to consider, and then pressure testing safety, CSS S9. And liquid and gas pipeline, B31.4 and 31.8. If he asks you that you do not really need to study this because it is in the public, although it is in publication effectivity sheet, because the information you need is already in other documents, the information you need for the exam or as a pipeline inspector. But we brought it, and so to show you where all these points are coming from. Only the inspection part we have explained. So then we got ISO 9000. You only need to study the vocabulary and API Q1. You have to study section 3, 4, and 5. And then we have brought a lot of 7 sets of flashcards, and we have also highlighted the 12 US HSC documents and 4 practical guides. So there are 16 documents. Don't be scared of the number of documents you got in OpenBook. There's only 10, 15 questions. All you need to know is what each one is about. And then at the exam, you go to that particular document and then look for the answer. And the answer also normally, most of them, they are very easy to answer and they are the obvious, Then we wrote 3 sets of questions here. So I'm just going to see if anybody has any question. Thank you, Mr. Khalilullah, for attending, and the others. So practically, just to sum up, okay, pipeline construction inspector is based on the actual pipeline construction, okay? So and it's specifically about the pipeline, not the compressor stations, not if you are in a pipeline project, it's not about the other accessories or utilities like the heat exchanger or anything. It's just the pipeline. And it's A to Z, but it's A to Z of pipeline. It looks like, there's so many documents to read, but they are very easy, actually. It's just a number of them. The reason there are so many documents to read is because there is a lot of, you have to know about A to Z of pipeline construction inspector. So obviously some of them are excluded. For example, this is onshore pipeline, there is no offshore pipeline. As a pipeline construction inspector, you don't need to know about the pipe mills where they actually make the pipeline. You're just at the field and your eyes and ears of the client, and you're reporting him each stage. But for you to do that, you should know all the rules and all the phases of this. And you should be fairly familiar with coating, welding, and the cathodic protection, pressure testing, stringing, ditching, health and safety, hydrostatic testing, that sort of thing. And the main rules, common ground alloys. Excuse me. So based on that, they came up with this publication effectivity sheet. Okay. So, and so I hope you got pretty good idea what you're going to be questioned. It's nothing that you need to remember except some practical type of questions, like the approach, how much it should be, 50 yards, 25 meters, 50 meters, 18-inch rule, then 12-inch rule. So all this, when you approach the pipeline and another pipeline, or the distance between 2 pipeline, and so it would be all practical type of question, okay, and it would be very, very basic. So I hope you enjoyed this our video. I can see that I don't haven't received any question. Still, if you would like to ask us, you can always use our WhatsApp line. If you any general queries or technical queries, and then if there is access on IT, we got our IT manager if you bought our course. Okay, so thank you for listening to our course, and we hope to see you in our next webinar.